Hello, welcome to LLG's Random But Real. My name is Lisa L. Gilliam, and I am the host of this podcast, where we have conversations about any and all things random with an entree, not a side dish, of mental health advocacy. I use my performance, communication, and literary art skills to bring awareness about mental health and other topics. Therefore, whether I am singing, speaking, or writing, it is my desire that my words will be melodic, just like music to your ears. Please note, the comments expressed in this podcast are those of mine and or the guests. They are not intended to be used for professional guidance. Please seek a licensed professional if you are in need of care or therapy, experiencing trauma, or are in danger. And if in danger, please call 911. Thank you in advance for listening to LLG's Random But Real. I hope you enjoy this podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of LLG's Random But Real. I am your guest, or your host, I should say, Lisa Gilliam, otherwise known as One Singing Lady. And as you know, this podcast is a platform where we have an entree of mental health because mental health can affect every aspect of our lives. I have been pretty open and honest about some of the things that I've experienced, and I hope in the near future to be able to speak on a few other things that have happened or taken place lately in my life. But today I was just thinking about how much our words matter. And who knows? I'm sure there's some statistics out there that talks about how many times we speak each day. But those of us who have the ability to actually verbalize words, I'm sure it's a lot. And if you're anything like me, you speak a lot anyway. I speak professionally, so that's one aspect. And then I just enjoy talking. Like in my relationships, I would much rather talk versus text. And maybe that's telling my age, but I am a little old school when it comes to that. I like text too, but if I have the opportunity and I'm in that mode or that mood to speak, I would much rather speak, or at least, leave a message saying, hey, I'll call you back when I get an opportunity. I was having, some conversations with some friends, and this podcast is also random but real for a reason, because I don't really belabor over the topics, whatever's kind of on my heart at the time, and then I come and share that with you all. There's no edits, nothing like that, at least not now, because life is full of changes and interruptions, and sometimes things don't go the way that we planned them. And so my podcast is pretty much the same. It is what it is. If I say something, incorrect, then I'll try to correct it on the next one. But I'm not trying to hide how I feel about anything. And with that being said, there have been some things that have been said to me recently that I don't necessarily agree with. And they, from my perspective, have to deal with how I approach certain situations or the things that I want. I'm very vocal. So I'll be 51 in May. So let's just say, having a half a decade of experience, it doesn't matter to me if you're older than me or younger than me. If I disagree with something, I'm going to tell you. I'll say it respectfully, but I will let you know, because that also makes me feel better to get it out. I think several years in my life, I held back from sharing how I felt. And I was more of a people pleaser than I was expressing my emotions. And that caused me to have other difficulties because I didn't speak out if I was hurt or upset. I often hear, you got to choose your battles. And while I don't disagree with that statement, I believe that everybody's battle is different. So for instance, for you, it may not be a problem if somebody offends you. You might just be like a duck and completely just not say anything and, let it wash off. Whereas for me, especially if I try to sleep on it and I wake up the next day and it's still bothering me, I'm definitely going to say something. Now, what I have learned to do is pray about how I say it, when I say it. And I ask God to provide the opportunity for me to be able to speak to whoever it was that I have been offended by. Because of my past, I can say I'm probably more easily offended than many. But if you've gone through some of the things that I've experienced, it kind of makes sense. I've shared on this platform before about having PTSD, and in speaking to my counselor or therapist about more complex PTSD, which was not in the DSM-5, but it does exist, and a lot of the similarities with PTSD are there. So the things that I might say or experience or feel would probably be different from someone who did not experience the same type of background or trauma that I have. And I was sharing that with a friend. A couple of my friends recently said that I was spoiled. And I've kind of heard that all throughout my life. And I don't agree. I don't think that I would have struggled as much or had as many difficulties or the things that have happened in my life if I was spoiled. Because spoiled to me means I'm getting everything I want, or at least the majority of it. And that clearly is not the case. And so when I explained to them that is an offensive term for me, because not only because I don't agree with it, but I really, really am not. What people think I should, or how people think I should react or be in a space with them, is often regulated by their own lens, not empathetic in the stance of, okay, this is what Lisa has told me. Because if you're my friend, you know a lot of my background. This is why I might behave or say what I say. I just think that they're looking in their own lens. And so I was just using that as an example. But the reason I really wanted to talk about watch what you say on today's podcast is when it deals with mental health concerns or issues, when it deals with things such as calling people crazy or they're bipolar or something's wrong with them, why are you acting schizophrenic, all terms that are so inappropriate and hurtful for someone who actually experiences them. Now, those are not diagnoses that I've received. So I'm not even speaking about me, but literally my heart aches when I hear people joking and laughing and playing when they're saying or referring to a person like that. Because people who have had to endure lives with any type of mental health diagnosis have often struggled, have often had so many difficulties in just trying to honestly live, that when someone who has not experienced those or have experienced them and now finds it funny or to joke on behalf of someone who has, that's just really disheartening to me. And furthermore, to find people who are in my age bracket that are still quote unquote joning, which is the term we use in the DMV, on people who have those types of difficulties. I think that that's horrible. And I really hope and pray that we start to think before we speak, just when it comes to anything dealing with mental health. I also hope that we think before we speak when it comes to promises and things that we say that we'll do for people and how we'll show up for people. If you don't know if you can do that, then don't promise it. Just say, I'll try, or it's a possibility, or I'll get back to you. One of the things that I've learned, I've also talked about this on this platform too. I have been practicing restorative practices, restorative justice. And in my actual county that I work in, they say restorative approaches. But they have these three tenets in restorative justice and education: respect, dignity, and mutual concern. And I try to take that and use it in my everyday life. Restorative practices is a way of being. It's not a program that you can do. And so the more I try to become more restorative, try to nurture healthy relationships, try, creating a just and equitable learning environment in my job, but also sometimes even in my physical surroundings with friends and family, and then repair harm and transform conflict in a positive manner. The more I try to do that, I also try to make sure that I'm respecting, showing dignity and mutual concern for those individuals that I am in contact with. And so when I hear people talking about people and we're 50 plus years old, that doesn't seem very restorative to me, and it's hurtful. And so I often share how, I'm a mental health advocate. How can I advocate for other people if I'm not even willing to advocate for myself? It's a part of who I am, speaking up and, educating people about the things that they say. So can y'all do me a favor, please? Stop calling people crazy. Stop calling people, saying that they're acting bipolar. Stop saying, they must be schizophrenic. Unless you know that that's a real diagnosis, joking about it is not okay. And if no one else tells you that, you heard it here today. I have said it before, but I just definitely need to reiterate it. It doesn't matter if you are joking when you're saying that. Know that there are real people out there with real diagnoses who are really trying to process through what they've received, and hearing other people talking about them, talking down to them isn't okay. Like, instead of doing that, why don't you do research? Like, when I was growing up, we didn't have Google or any type of platform where we could research different physical or mental diagnosis. We had to kind of find out, just by our teacher telling us or something like that. But now you have the internet at your fingertips, but you still won't take the time to find out, what the diagnosis is really about. Life is so short. People are dying, like literally. Not even making it to their next birthday. I had a friend that died a couple of weeks ago, and it's sad that I won't ever get to speak to her again. But I think about the conversations that we had over the years. Shout out to Leisha, and she's really missed, about different things that I've struggled with, just different things. And you think that you have time, but you really don't. If I've learned nothing else from her and her life and her struggle, and her peace in the midst, I should say, of struggle, is, continue on. Just continue on doing the best that you can. Continue on showing up for people, even on your worst days. Continue doing that. But what I can say is that we don't show up for people when we're talking about them. We don't show up for people when we're making jokes about people's diagnosis. It's just not cool, y'all. It really isn't. And we're in control of what we say. No one else is in control of your mouth except for you. And as far as those broken promises, death and life is in the power of the tongue. They that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. That's the word. That's scripture. And I am probably, I don't even want to go there. We're not going to talk about that. But recently disappointed at something that someone said to me, that they said that they were going to do and they didn't do it. Change the mind, or change their mind, and didn't even have a conversation about it. I think that there's ways of decorum that we should also follow. So while I don't agree with people joking or joning or talking about people with regards to mental health, especially if you don't know, I don't think you should joke about it anyway. It's not a laughing matter. But, definitely if you don't even know for sure that that's something that they're dealing with, then why would you call them crazy? Now, caveat, when you know better, you do better. I can't say I've never said that, in my years of life. But as I continue to be become more restorative. Even though I'm not practicing counseling at this moment, I'm not a counselor. I still use the tools. I still try to share the knowledge and the information that I have and or that I've learned over the years. And I think that also transcends in, giving respect to people just in general. Please don't promise stuff. Parents, don't promise your kids things if you're not going to be able to do it. And because life happens, it's okay. Sometimes you can't do things that you thought you were going to do. But what you can do is inform somebody by actually picking up the phone or doing a video chat or meeting them in person. I think text and email are the most inappropriate ways to express yourself. I think that's the only time you should do those is if you're not able to reach a person directly. And so, yeah, just some of the things that I've seen happen recently in my own life, I've seen happen or heard about happening in other people's lives. Life is short. It really is. And instead of spending time putting someone down or spending time joking about somebody's issues because you don't understand what they might be experiencing, instead of promising things that you're not willing to actually do, let's try to do better. Let's try to make better choices, better decisions. Let's try to uplift. Let's try to show respect and dignity and mutual concern to the people that are in our lives. Let's watch what we say. And I'm speaking to myself as well. I want to uplift and encourage. I don't want to degrade and, tear somebody down. And sometimes the things that I hear being said about other people, that's exactly what it does. And so we can change that. That doesn't have to be the case. So I hope that, these few minutes will allow you to think about what you say when you're talking about other people, what you say when you are unsure, or even when you're hurt. That telling is a powerful thing. And sometimes it can cut people down. And it's used when you're hurt as opposed to praying about how you should respond to the situation and really seek understanding, because people do things for a reason. And sometimes they'll tell you if you just ask them. So, random but real. You may not see how this has anything to do with mental health, but when you talk to people who have been hurt by something that someone said, it actually can affect your feelings and your emotions. And so I just want us to watch what we say. Simple topic, simple reminder. Choose today to uplift someone and encourage them. Choose not to tear them down and show them respect and dignity and mutual concern. Okay, y'all? Please follow me on all my social media platforms at One Singing Lady, and that's the number one. On YouTube, it's spelled out One Singing Lady, OneSingingLady. Everybody else, like I said, number one Singing Lady, and or the numeral one, I should say, Singing Lady. TikTok, X, formerly as Twitter, Facebook. You probably have to search a little bit more for that one, just because of the way they've changed things. But you can type in my name, Lisa Gilliam, and it should show up. And also Instagram. So I hope to connect with you all. Let me know how you're going to work on watching what you say. Have a great day, you all. Thanks. One Singing Lady out. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's podcast, LLG's Random But Real. I appreciate your support and your time. Until next time, please make sure you visit my website, www.lisalgilliam.com, so you can find out more information about where this podcast is streamed, about my book, about the CDs, and spoken word. Again, I appreciate your support, and I look forward to hearing from you and you all listening to the next episode. Have a wonderful day.